Okay, man, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino That Big Guido Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens. And today we are all hands on deck for another deck building podcast. Yeah, we're changing it from ranking of roguelike deck builders, which was just so fun to say. You know, it just rolled off the tongue to all hands on deck. Because, you know, decks and cards. Joining me, as always, to discuss all things card games, Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted. How you doing?
Hello, Gino. I wanted to name it The Deck Toll, like the death toll, but All Hands on Deck made more sense. Also, there are no podcasts named All Hands on Deck, except one from 2017 we found, where apparently it's DJs.
DJs from Buffalo.
DJs from Buffalo.
So yeah, I think we might have more name ID than them, so we could probably bully them off of the name. All right, so before we get into, well, I guess let's, at the top, the games we will be covering today for our rankings are Chaos Zero Nightmare, which is a gacha roguelike deck builder, Peglin, which is basically Peggle, but a deck builder, Griftlands, which is, I would say, a traditional Slay the Spire-like, except with the story turned way up, Tainted Grail, which is a deck builder. How would you even describe the? It's like more
dark
of a CRPG?
fantasy, and it's
CRPG coded.
Yeah,
Kinda. And Zetzillions, which is another very standard Slay the Spire like, except it's very anime and very goofy. So I like that Tainted Grail and Zetzillions are in the same show because they are both ultimately, from a gameplay perspective, very similar. But one of them is dark and moody, and the other one is colorful and funny.
yes.
Before we go into the ranking, just a reminder, you can get in touch with the show, deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections there. That's also where you can download the show. And deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social. That is our social media account. Support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. At the $1 tier, you get access to our Discord, where you can talk to other listeners of the show and the hosts of the show. At the $3 tier, you get access to the Oji-Sancast, which Braden co-hosts. Braden, what are you guys covering next?
By the time you listen to this, our Excel Saga podcast should be up, or should almost be up.
Excellent. All right. So those are good. And also you support the show, and that's pretty great.
I still really like Excel Saga.
That's good. I'm glad that you like the show, because you don't always end up liking the show that the Oji-Sancast covers, and I think it's
I like
better
the
when you
shows
do.
that I pick most of the time.
Yeah. And then Pete picks shows that people have heard of, and it's like, what?
Yeah. Pete picked Afro Samurai, and I finally saw Afro Samurai. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, the RZA.
Yeah, RZA. All right, so just to give people who have not listened to this show much a rundown of how we are going to be ranking this stuff, we have a very scientific ranking system. We have deckability, which is a 1 to 5 scale. Braden, how do we define deckability?
Deckability is how interesting the carding is. The variety of viable card builds, the kinds of strategies and synergies one can make while adding cards to a deck, and otherwise the number of card.
Yes. So it is, when you build the actual deck, is there variety there? Is it fun to build the deck? Is there strategy? Is there nuance to it? Like, you know, is one of these Peggle, which makes it different about how you build decks than Slay the Spire, but this one has a mechanic where I don't know, if you play one card type 5 times, it does super damage or something. You know, like there's variety there. Next, we have rogue ability on a scale from 1 to 5. Braden, how do we define rogue ability?
Rogue ability is how good of a run-based game is this video game? How much variety does it have? How good is the overlying meta progression?
Yes. Is this
there a reason to keep playing?
Exactly. That is the big thing. Would you want to keep playing this game? Is it fun to keep playing this game? Some of them, they are a good concept, and you can't necessarily. You're good after like 3 runs. And some of them, you know, you just could play it for 100 hours.
And some of them are both Gino and I's hour count on Monster Train 2.
Yes. Then heart of the cards is our third category, which are ranked as follows. If it's a 5 out of 5, it is the heart. It has the heart of the cards. This means that this game has a lot of heart to it. It's well made. It's got good production values. Maybe it's got good writing. It's got something about it that draws you to this game outside of the deck building and the replayability. A 4 is the lungs of the cards. Essential, but not as endearing as the heart. I think you would agree.
Yes.
Then at 3, it's got the bones of the cards, which, you know, it's functional. It keeps you standing upright, but I don't think very many people love looking at bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
2 is the gallbladder of the cards, something that you don't like. You don't want to look at the gallbladder. It is somewhat essential. You're probably only going to hear about it when something's wrong with it. But
you can live with it taken out.
You can live with it taken out, but it does actually have a function.
Yeah.
And then 1 is the appendix of the cards, something completely useless, not helpful at all, actually actively hurtful. In a lot of cases, you're definitely only going to hear about it because it's bad. So that is our ranking for heart of the cards, which is our third category. All right, without further ado, let's go into our first game of the show, Chaos Zero Nightmare.
Gachapon, Gino.
Yeah, so Braden, for those who don't know, because this is a deck building show, they might not know what a gachapon is. What is a gachapon?
They should.
Yeah.
All right, so free-to-play mobile games with random draw characters or items, much like a gachapon machine, where the rarest are very rare and would incentivize you to put in real money in order to see them.
Yeah, so, and gachapon machines, if you've ever played with like a capsule machine outside of a supermarket, if you're not in Japan, that's what we're talking about. Those little, you put a quarter in, you turn a thing, and then you get a little pod. So Chaos Zero Nightmare takes a very standard Slay the Spire style gameplay. You get 3 action points a turn. You have cards varying in cost from 0 to usually 2 or 3. And you are playing your cards over the turn, dealing damage to enemies that tell you what their actions are going to be. Very standard Slay the Spire stuff. The differentiators here are 1, the gacha, which we will get to, and 2, a slight mechanical difference. The game will have the enemies take actions mid-turn if you take too many actions. So, like, they have a counter before, like, if you play, they'll have a counter that's like 5, and if you play 5 cards, after 5 cards are played, they take a turn. They will act. They will attack. They'll do a debuff, stuff like that. So you get some enemies that have mechanics where you can do extra damage to them before they take actions. There's some where they retaliate after they take actions. So those sorts of things. So they impact your sequencing and the decisions you make on how you sequence cards based on that. I think those are the kind of big. Oh, there's also 2 health bars functionally.
Yes.
There's the health and the mental health bar. Braden, what is the difference between the 2?
Well, Gino, the mental health bar, it persists between runs unless you bring your characters to therapy.
Yeah, and Your characters will take physical damage from getting attacked, but they also take mental damage. So if you let a attack through without blocking it, they take mental damage, and then at the end of every turn, one random character will take mental damage. It goes from 0 to 100, and once a character has hit 100% mental damage, they have a breakdown, and depending on what your character's mental issues are, your breakdown
It's like
will be
Darkest
different.
Dungeon.
Like Darkest Dungeon, exactly.
So, Gino, you're
now the
bearing the
gotcha.
lead here.
Yep, now let's unbury the lead.
Let me tell you. So, this is a game. This game does the thing that you and I both like, which is each character that you bring has their own bespoke deck of cards.
Yep.
And it's your job to synergize different characters' builds and loadouts to create a cool triumvirate of deck. But that's where the gotcha comes in. Because if you want the best characters with the best decks, but not always the best decks, this is one of those gotchas where one of the best characters is the free one you start with.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get them randomly.
You do. So Smilegate Holdings made this game. It is Korean in nature. It's mainly mobile, though you can play it on a PC if you want to. But you see, the thing about this game is those random characters you get. How would you say they incentivize you beyond just the gameplay?
Oh, it's also a gotcha, Gino.
I know, but like,
which is to say, there are a lot of booby anime women.
That's
like 3 men.
That's the thing. Yeah, they're almost almost the entire cast are booby, scantily clad women. There's one furry man.
Yeah,
and then like 2 other guys, basically, on the roster. So they know their audience. It is very well animated. It has their live motion animation stuff where things wobble and jiggle as characters are doing moves.
Some live 2D animation.
Yeah. And I will say, at least somewhat thankfully, the characters' efficacy in the game does not appear directly related to
tied to being able to see their feet.
Yeah, to their boobosity.
Yes.
But the game, it definitely skews horny. For sure. And you can see that whenever a character suffers a mental breakdown, because, they're making some faces when they are suffering mental breakdowns that are a little icky, or titillating or icky, depending on your stance, depending on your opinion. So this game, because it is a gotcha, there's a whole bunch of bullshit that's put on top of it.
You got to do your dailies.
Yeah, you got to do your dailies. Every character has like 5 or 6 ways to level them up. They have levels, which increase their stats and increase some of the like passive buffs they can get. There's a passive unlock system that uses a different currency than the level up system. There's a promotion system, so like characters get level capped. Every 10 levels, you need to promote them by spending another currency, a third currency, to level that up to break those barriers. There's memory fragments, which are like equipment, and those memory fragments will vary in rareness and effect. So you want to have certain memory fragments equipped to certain characters because they synergize well. That also uses a completely different currency. There are partners, which are like side characters that give your characters additional stats and extra moves. Those need to be unlocked through the gotcha system and leveled up separately, again, using a different separate currency. I think I'm forgetting. Yeah, there's the potentials, which are the passives, the memory fragments, the levels, the promotion. Oh, there's affinity. You can give gifts to your characters, which makes them like you more, which also unlocks different passive like bonuses, different stat bonuses. And then there's the good old-fashioned gotcha. If you get dupes, you can use the duplicate character that you pulled in the gotcha pull to unlock permanent upgrades to the
Yep.
cards.
Yep, that's a gotcha.
Yeah. So there's like 6 different treadmills that the game is trying to have you run on at all times. I find that this is it's overwhelming. It's a huge distraction from the gameplay. And it's pulling you in like 10 different directions, so you're constantly addled and frazzled when playing this game. Do you find the same?
I have a noted gotchas are poison to me.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like, why is this card game asking me to play it for like 30 minutes every day?
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as this is definitely a more this is a friendlier and more money optional gotcha on the scale of things. You definitely can still build up a good team and get good draws without having to spend real money. But
it's trying to get you addicted.
Yeah, you gotta do all of these different things. We forgot to talk about how the translation in this game is wretched.
It's also very poor. And the game's story is gibberish to begin with, but on top of it being gibberish, it's also poorly translated in a lot of cases.
Yes.
So while it is very well animated and like the moves have big impact when you play the cards, and like the fundamentals of the gameplay are usually fine. Just like basic translation of like, what do the cards do? Like, what do the status effects do? Sometimes are not clear. So this game has missions, which are just like confined battles that you have to play. They also have a run-based kind of Slay the Spire mode where you're going into random battles and getting cards and refining your deck, removing cards, upgrading cards, that sort of thing. The like impetus here is to go through the Slay the Spire runs to get upgraded decks from the standard deck, and then you can play those upgraded decks in challenge content, in challenge missions and challenge battles. So the Slay the Spire stuff basically just gets you better decks so that you can take on the challenge stuff, which is the high level. You probably want to buy the new characters so that you have the right,
or you need
team
to
comp.
grind it out.
So this is actually a game where the Slay the Spire run-based content is kind of de-emphasized. You have to do it if you want to do well in the other content, but that is not the driving goal here. The driving goal here is like gated content that will, is challenge runs, which are very common in gotchas to force you to pull for the new hotness.
Yes.
And it's really focused more on that, funneling you into the challenge content, because that's where most of the free-to-play rewards are. As a run-based game, what did you think? Have you done any of the chaos runs?
I only did one of these chaos runs. I had to install a launcher.
I know.
For some Korean mobile game company.
Yep. It's not great to play on PC.
Yeah.
Did you find the run-based content to be enjoyable?
It's cool. I think I would like... Hey, surprise. I would like this game more if it wasn't a gacha.
Yeah. That's my big takeaway on this thing.
Because I think it's well made. I think it does interesting things, but also you can speak more to this. There's also just points where it's like, oh, you just need the numbers to be higher to make progress. And
the numbers...
That's a gotcha.
The numbers getting higher require you to grind for the next 4 days to get all that stuff, or you can pay us money. Like that. It's a gotcha in that sense. So while I think there are good characters and interesting gameplay mechanics here, and every character kind of has their own gimmick, like there's characters that do follow-up attacks. There's a character that does a bunch of card draw. There's a character that's a bunch of like play a bunch of cheap free spells over and over and over and over again. There's a counterattack character, right? Like every character has their gimmick. I think that gating access to those characters behind pulls and then gating leveling those characters behind 4 different bespoke leveling systems makes it really annoying to play this game. It's constantly throwing roadblocks up so that you can't experience all of the content because it's a gotcha and is trying to extract money from you.
It's
So
trying to extract time or money.
yeah, so the deck ability here, I think it's like a 4. I don't
Yeah.
think it's like the best of in class. It's like a 3 or a 4, probably 4 because there's a lot of characters and they are suitably different. There's reasons to play different character comps or party comps, but you're so limited in the party
And
comps.
also
you can
some of
actually
them are
use.
just objectively better.
Yes, some are just better versions of other ones. Though it doesn't always align with rarity, which is kind of interesting. Some of the lower rarity characters are just better than some of the high rarity ones. The rogue ability here also, like, runs are not that different. I'd put it at like a 3, honestly.
Yeah.
It's perfunctory. It works, but it is not amazing. You disagree? Any disagreement there?
You played more than I did.
I felt like I was doing the same run over and over
Yeah.
and over again.
It doesn't seem like there's a ton of variety.
And I only have so many party comps that are viable because of who I have. And so I'm using the good party comps over
Yeah.
again, over and over again.
Until you get more draws.
Exactly. So rogue ability is not great. Again, because deck ability and rogue ability both taking hits from the gotcha elements. And then the heart, it's a gotcha. So I want to say it's like the fucking gallbladder of the cards. Like, this might be the lowest, I feel like, in the heart.
I love undulating anime boob women as much as the next guy. But I don't want to draw for him.
Yeah. I don't want to play for 30 hours to unlock another one. So
I've got things to do.
Chaos Era Nightmare, 4 in deck ability, 3 in rogue ability, 2 in heart. One of our, I think, lowest ranked games so far across the board. Or at least it's the lowest heart rating I think we've ever given. It's tied with Hellcard. All right.
It's yeah. Listen, if
it's
you're
free.
looking for a card-based one of those, it's all right. But also, reconsider your life.
Yeah. Go home, be a family man, as Guile would say.
Yeah. All right, Gino, what's our next game?
Peglin. Peglin is our next game, which is a combination of Peggle and a deck builder. So Peglin, it was in early access for like a year or a few years, I feel like. I believe it is now officially out. Peglin's whole deal is at the beginning of a run, you pick a goblin or a Peglin, right? Because they're goblins that do Peggle stuff. And then you play Peggle, which if you don't know what Peggle is, it's maybe Pachinko might be your more familiar game. Like, you drop a ball from the top of the screen and it plinks off of a lot of little pegs, and then those pegs will have effects when you hit them. The idea here is you are shooting these little balls. Each ball has different stats. Like, if they hit certain pegs, they'll do damage. They'll accrue damage amounts. There's some pegs that will cause you to do critical damage, which makes all the other pegs deal extra. There are refresh pegs, which when you hit them, pegs that you hit previously that vanished will come back. And then when the peg hits the bottom of the screen, you will deal damage to whatever you're targeting by, like, shooting a fireball or throwing a rock at them. But otherwise, it is kind of like a Slay of the Spire, right? You are picking a direction on a route. Those areas will have random events. They'll have enemies you need to fight. They'll have bosses or elites. You can get equipment that makes your Peglin stronger. You'll get different types of balls that will have different properties on them, et cetera, et cetera. And you can level up the balls. You can get new equipment, stuff like that. Had you played much Peglin before I said we should rank Peglin?
Yeah, I played a little bit of it in early access, and then a little bit more when we picked it.
What do you think of Peglin?
It's Peggle.
It is Peggle, and Peggle is not really around so much anymore. So
I would say Peggle is not. I would not say Peggle is necessarily a heavily skill-based video game.
No, but do you think Peglin is?
On occasion.
So I would say that this game has more skill to it than a Peggle.
Yeah.
Mostly because you are building your deck of which balls to basically have, which weapons to have.
Yeah.
They will spec you in different directions. So, like, you can have some that heavily incentivize crits. There are some that heavily incentivize upgrading the pegs and then refreshing them. And then, the next time you hit that peg, you will do extra bonus damage. There's some that incentivize you to make all the pegs rubberized and bouncy so that the balls bounce around more. But like you said, it's still just a ball bouncing around on pegs. You have a kind of a targeting line that shows you a little bit of where the ball will go. But beyond that first bounce, you usually are just kind of hoping that your read of the physics is right. And sometimes there's stuff that's moving and, things will just happen because things are moving. It's a very clever game, I think. It's got got good jokes. A lot of puns, a lot of peg puns going on here. How much time did you put into Peglin?
I put so before it came out in 1.0, I had put about an hour into it.
Okay.
And then when you picked it, I put in another couple hours.
Okay. I've played it for 52 hours.
Okay.
So I think that there is more depth here than you would think. Or I shouldn't say not depth. I should say there's more repeatability in what strategies are successful in Peglin than you might otherwise think because it's Peggle. But it is not necessarily the most varied experience. There are only so many balls that you can unlock. There's only so many strategies that are especially viable. The items are very impactful, just like artifacts in Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
They change your game pretty dramatically, which ones you get. And that's semi-random. So yeah, I think it's a cute game. Like, deck ability, what do you think? Deck ability.
I mean, there are definitely a lot of different ball types. And those ball types you can spec into different balls depending on your items, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can spec into different balls. You can get rid of ones that aren't good and then favor ones that are. It's a pretty intuitive gameplay too. I think the accessibility here, because you're just playing Peggle, it's probably more accessible than some other roguelike deck builders. But yeah, deckability, like, I felt like I gravitated towards the same general strategies, and they just worked. They worked pretty well. So I'd give it like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
Where do you lean?
That sounds right.
Do you lean higher or lower? Do you lean 3 or 4?
I'd lean 3.
Okay, that's fine by me. Rogue ability. This is another one where I think the runs are pretty samey. There's 3 different environments you go through, and then at the end you fight a boss. The artifact like items that you get, I think, are pretty significant. But the balls and upgrading them and when to upgrade them, like, it's interesting, but not the most interesting of one of these. You also lean towards. I would lean towards a 3.
Yeah, the thing is, yeah, you can only do so much with Peggle. I should say, for the record, I'm not the biggest Peggle guy.
I like Peggle. I don't love Peggle.
I respect Peggle as far as, like, that game being the hyper concentrated version of flashing lights and colors make pachinko go fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun pachinko like. And I think this has more depth than regular Peggle, but I'd still lean probably towards a 3. Like, it gives you good replayability. There is an unlock path. You do unlock other goblins. But I don't. It doesn't unlock especially fast either, and it's got a like challenge. What do they call it in Slay the Spire when you complete a run and then you up the difficulty by 1?
I mean, I just say an escalation or
yeah.
I forget what it's called in Slay the Spire.
it's got an escalation to it, where the game gets harder the more times you beat it, but it's still Peggle. So I think rogue ability. I think I've seen a lot of the content already, and the success of my runs feels a lot more random in this game than it does in other games because the order of the balls is randomized. Sometimes bounces just are weird, and the physics behaves in other ways because it's pachinko.
Yeah.
And that just kind of colors the whole thing now, doesn't it? And then heart of the cards. I think that's really where this game excels. It's very charming. I would probably give this at least the lungs of the cards. I'd give it a 4 because I think this game has a lot of charm. It's got a lot of very good puns in it. Like I think I need to find some of the names of the weapons. Do you also agree that it's a 4?
Yeah. It's very cute.
Yeah, let me find some of the balls here, like the names of the different orbs. Oh, sorry, they're orbs, not balls. My bad here. Yeah, like the Horriball.
Yeah.
All orb nothing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ball lightning. Bomb orb. Buckle orb. Aldrin Babal. Leave orb. It's good. A lot of good. Critiball. Double edge swarb. It's got a lot of good puns. Ekorb. Yeah. So I would play this for the puns and the cuteness. But yeah, the gameplay, it's Peggle, so your mileage may vary. And it's pretty perfunctory in its rogue ability too. It's another one of these. I don't think it's especially great. I don't think it's especially terrible. So Peglin gets a 3 in deck ability, a 3 in rogue ability, and it has the lungs of the cards. Next up, we have Griftlands. What's the elevator pitch for Griftlands?
So Griftlands is from Klei, the makers of games such as Mark of the Ninja, and for the normal people out there, Don't Starve. Which, I don't know if you know this, Don't Starve, very popular.
It is. It was.
It's a tree puncher.
It's still...
But it looks like a cartoon.
It does look like a cartoon. So the animation here is very good. The art style is very Klei.
Because it's Klei, yeah.
It looks great.
So they are trying to meld a Slay the Spire type game with a more traditional narrative. There are 3 characters, and they each have their own storylines that tie into a run-based thing. But there's also kind of this dynamic reputation system on top of that, where you can have characters ally or it's sort of the nemesis system, where if you have like an ally with high affinity, they might help you out in battle, but also there are like enemies who will try to sabotage you in battle, even if you aren't fighting them directly. And you have a certain number of like things you can do between each big story beat. So that's kind of the way they roguelike it.
Yeah.
This game's structure is interesting.
Yeah, so I would say this is a game at war with itself. Because it is a run-based deck builder. You are building, like, there's 3 different characters. They have different play styles that slightly vary. You know, you've got one character who's kind of like the Silent from Slay the Spire, one character who's kind of like the robot one.
Yeah.
And one that's like the Ironblood, the warrior one. You've got...
There are 3 different characters.
You got 3 characters. They kind of map onto Slay the Spire character archetypes.
Yes.
They've got slightly different deck, like starting points you can go with. And then you're trying to optimize the deck. You know, you've got some neutral cards that kind of apply across characters. You've got pets. You've got upgrades that you can make on your cards. So it's got the Slay the Spire stuff, but it wants you to really read and pay attention to all of the events because this is a story-based game, or it's got story elements. However, if you lose a card battle, you die and the run ends.
And you have to see the story stuff again.
And you have to see the story stuff again. And every run, you will see those same story beats. You know, sometimes you'll see different ones because it's random in that way. But this is a game that really wants you to play it multiple times and also like read all of the dialogue options multiple times and really consider things. And that just doesn't play well with a deck builder.
It doesn't mesh well. I think it's one of those things where the part where this game is a deck builder and a run-based game is so disconnected from every other idea they have.
Yes. It is a run-based game that wants you to treat It's a run-based game where you're trying to build different decks and explore the nuances of the mechanics. But they also want you to have great attachment to every specific run. And that's just at tension. It's going to be at tension. And it led to... How many hours did you put into Griftlands, Braden?
I'm going to say like 5 or 6. I beat at least one of the characters' stories, and then I got pretty far with one of the other ones.
Yeah, I played 15 hours of Griftlands. And I think I didn't play as much Griftlands as I have some of these other deck builders because it is demanding so much attention and reading and story for a game that the gameplay is so similar to other things, and it wants it to be a run-based game too. So like the tension really kind of pushed me away from this game because the deck building part isn't especially novel. Parts of it that are novel are the story elements, but they demand too much attention for a game that will just screw you sometimes. Like it's a deck builder, right? It's like sometimes you'll just get bad luck. And losing a run to bad luck or slow attrition over multiple battles when you are supposed to care about this story that you're building really sucks. You know, there's not outs if you get screwed on bad luck in this game. So deck ability, I mean, the characters have like 2-3 archetypes each.
Yeah.
But how they play, some have a discard.
And yeah, they do all they vaguely fall into the three characters fall vaguely into the 3 classes of Slay the Spire. So there's the Berserker type, there's the I can do a lot of fast little attacks, or I can draw a bunch of cards, and then there's the I'm a robot, so I do weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. There's also a combination of like damage, and then you can also kind of do diplomacy stuff too. Like you can psych people out and have them leave the fight.
Yeah, you can use cards for skill checks. That's right. There's also social battles in this game. There is a second type of deck you can build.
Yep. There's the combat deck and then the negotiation deck. And yeah, both of those also have applications of like I have to upgrade cards or replace cards. So you're basically building 2 decks. And that, again, that's a lot of investment.
It's messy.
A lot of investment for a game that will kill you because you got bad rolls.
Yeah.
Deck ability, I want to say it's like a 3 or a 4. It's like Slay the Spire. It's very similar.
Yeah.
It doesn't really vacillate that much, except they give you 2 decks. That's kind of the big innovation. But, you know, you still play them pretty similarly.
But the rogue ability for this game.
I'll give it a 3 for deck ability for this game. Rogue ability, though, might be a 2.
I would give this
a
1.
Yeah, it's maybe the least fun game to replay of any of them, just because, you know, sometimes you've seen the whole story.
The structure is just so at odds with everything else.
Yeah, like once you see the story, why are you playing it again? Like it's supposed to be story based, and the deck building isn't good enough to make me want to do it, which is a shame because again, this is one of the best looking It's got.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's the best look. It's got the clay art style. It looks good.
Yes, it's very pretty.
Which means I think that the heart, it's probably like the lungs. It's got a lot of
Yeah.
heart.
It's got heart. It looks good.
Not the best, but it is definitely a plus. It is a huge plus. This is a game where the clay parts of it are great. The parts of it where it's a deck builder are not. They are good at best, or like average
Yeah.
at best. Griftlands, a 3 for deck ability, a 1 for rogue ability, and heart. It is officially the least roguable of any of the games
Yes.
we've reviewed so far, and that I think is correct.
I think, yeah, I think it was just, I remember finding this game kind of baffling
It is, and this came
and
in.
frustrating.
It came in at like the beginning of the Slay the Spire Gold Rush.
Yes.
Like it was towards the front of it, and yeah, I feel like that. Other games have come out and kind of done this better. Even like, for example, Cobalt Core,
yeah.
from a perspective of telling a story and also being charming.
And having, yeah, but also still having a lot of replayability.
Yeah, and I think the key, as we've learned from games like Cobalt Core, if you're going to tell a story, the looping has to be part of it.
Yeah.
You can't treat every run like it's the only run that matters if you're going
Yeah.
to play one of these, make one of these games, or it's going to really hurt kind of your central gameplay loop. A shame that I think you kind of need to tell a looping story, a time loop story, but
Yeah.
it's the only one I've really seen that works with this sort of game. Right? Same thing
Yeah.
with Hades. Not a deck builder, but I think Hades really
Yeah,
showed that
I mean,
as well.
yeah, I can think of a lot of games where, a lot of run-based games where, yeah, the storytelling is built into the storytelling, and that comes with its advantages and disadvantages.
It's you have to have the story. I would say that there's a meta layer on top of the gameplay here where it's the run-based stuff. You have to tell the story in the run-based layer. I don't think you can tell the story in the run layer. Otherwise, you get into trouble. Same problem with Roguebook, in a way. Tainted Grail is next.
So, yes, this is Tainted Grail Conquest.
Is there another-
Because the developers have since gone on to make a Eurojank open world fantasy RPG called Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon,
Oh, hell yeah.
which I want to check that out at some point. But their first game
Uh-huh.
is Tainted Grail, which is a dark fantasy deck builder RPG where vaguely based on Arthurian myth.
Yep. It's vaguely based on Arthurian myth. You're getting a character archetype. They vary. I believe it was warrior, rogue, and archer, or magician. It's the basic, the 3 D&D
Yeah,
archetypes.
but there are 9 classes, so
Yeah.
there are 3 for each archetype.
And,
And also, if I had a nickel for every time I played a game made by Eastern Europeans that features a dark interpretation of the King Arthur myth, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that I have that many nickels.
yeah, that's more nickels than you'd expect. Especially considering it's not like it's British or something. Eastern European.
It's it's British or it's French, but this is I would say a shockingly technically competent run-based deck builder.
Emphasis on the shocking, yes. This is a game that looks like it should be a Eurojank CRPG.
Yes.
It is a 3D character running around on a basically a Slay the Spire board.
Yeah.
It's got branching paths, but you're running around on it.
Yes.
And your character, like, you get events like you do in Slay the Spire, but everything looks like it should be a CRPG.
Yes, it is. All of the monsters are like weird skeleton ghouls
or mutants.
or mutants. Between runs, you are building a village, and that's kind of your that's your meta progression.
Yep. You're getting items from the runs that you can gift to the villagers, or you can recruit new villagers, and that unlocks new shops, which lets you upgrade your starting stats and your cards
Yeah.
and those sorts of things.
But yeah, the different classes have pretty sharp focuses.
They do. And you are, I mean, it is very Slay the Spire in,
Yeah.
you know, you have energy, you're playing your cards. The cards will have a one-time effect. The enemies vary pretty strongly in what you need to do and what their base, like, starting moves are. I would say this is one of the, like, deck ability wise, the difference between the different archetypes is significant. Like, some you're building Fury, some
Yeah.
of them you're trying to spam cards. Would you say that this is, like, noticeably great? in
Yeah,
its deck ability?
it is better than you would expect a game that looks like this.
Yeah, but do you think that makes it a 4 or a 3?
I think there's enough variation between the classes in each of the archetypes.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think there's
So
probably
I'd say a
enough.
4.
There's probably enough with
Because
it.
even though they are drawing from the same pool, you want to use them differently.
Mhm.
Like the summoner versus the blood mage and the necromancer play pretty differently. Even if they both the summoner and the necromancer want to, you know, have minions to tank for you.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will agree with a 4 for deck ability. Rogue ability, I feel like this is a 3.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a decent amount of meta progression, but the runs themselves aren't super varied.
Or not, and it's the structure is very much just the default structure
Yes.
of these games in a lot of ways. It's not making wild changes to the structure. Heart, I mean, it's got CRPG heart. I feel like
Yeah.
Braden, you will probably give its aesthetic and its
I mean, you know, it's of the multiple dark Arthurian myth CRPG looking games. You know, it's no Hand of Merlin.
But then again, what is?
I mean, Hand of Merlin is not a deck builder, but it is a run-based game. So
would you say this has the bones of the cards or the
I
lungs
would
of the
say
cards?
this is a 3.
Okay. This is the bones of the
its-
cards.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Tainted Grail, it is amazing. It is as good as it is.
It is good.
It is good. It looks like it should be
Jank.
It is jank, but it isn't junk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is jank, but not junk. So yeah, Tainted Grail, a 4 for deck ability, a 3 for rogue ability, and a 3 for heart. Now let's go to Zet Zillions. The other end of the color
complete
spectrum.
opposite tone-wise.
Yes, but also very kind of similar
Yes.
gameplay-wise. So Zet Zillions, you play as a commander who is... Would you say this is a Gurren Lagann?
I would say Gurren Lagann. Yeah, there's some real high energy, wacky anime.
Yeah.
Because
you
you are
are-
just fucking throwing things at planet.
Yeah, so you're a captain and you're piloting a planet.
I'm going to say the art style is a little bit Has-Been Hotel.
That's fair. That is also fair. Zet Zillions, I put about 13 hours into this game. I beat it. There's a lot of runs to it. I think Gurren Lagann is probably the like archetypal things just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger in this anime, and that's kind of what Zet Zillions deals in. You are a commander who is commanding a planet
Yeah.
that is flying through space to deal with enemies of different types. Like your first run, I think it's like an enemy commander or something, and it keeps just getting bigger and bigger and bigger of what you're fighting against. And your cards represent. There's two ways to win. You can decrease. Well, I shouldn't say two ways to win. There's two kind of meters. There's kind of a stagger meter and a health meter for your enemies. And the stagger meter is actually population.
Yeah.
You have little dudes who live on your planet who you shoot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
At your enemies, and they will orbit the enemy planets or ships that you are against. And if you hit their population amount, the enemy will become populated, which will give you like buffs and bonuses against that enemy. So you are trying to simultaneously deal damage to these enemies while also populating them with your little goobers. Yeah. So there's two card types. There's junk, which is your defense, and then what is the name for the dudes? It's junk and like losers or something.
Yeah.
Trash. Junk and trash. Trash are the people. Junk is your defense.
Yeah.
So the tone here is very zany, as you can imagine.
You are fighting planets that are your planet. By the way, your planet ship is called Baby Violence.
Yep. Baby Violence.
Yeah, you're fighting like baby planets and pig planets and poop planets and eldritch monstrosities.
Yep.
Normal stuff.
Very normal stuff. This is one of the wilder, more out there tonal games of the ones we played, but the gameplay is still Slay the Spire, right? You've got a certain amount of energy. You can spend that energy every turn. The enemies that the cards cost between 0 and like 3 or 4 energy. Once you're out of energy, your turn is over. The main thing here that differentiates it is the population stuff.
Yes.
There's some cards that populate. There's some cards that remove, like destroy your population, convert it into damage or convert it into defense. So you're kind of juggling just do damage to the enemies with populate them and then cash in on your population. If you populate things multiple times, I think when you populate, you get an extra energy back, or like you get a bonus for hitting the max population. So you sometimes want to reset that number back down to 0 so you can fill the stun gauge again. But yeah, it also tells a linear story. So every run that you do, you defeat a big enemy at the end, and that unlocks the next run.
Yes.
Which is different. You are facing a different enemy at the end. Sometimes you have different story events going on. And then you've got 2 weird goobers who are also on your ship.
Yeah.
One of whom is a crocodile scientist who does unspeakable science. And one's an alien soft boy.
Yeah.
And he does psychic stuff.
The two kinds of companions.
Yeah. Oh, and you can also fuse cards together to make new cards by literally combining stuff together.
Yeah. You can just shove multiple cards together.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Like during your turn, you can just fuse 2 cards together. So like if you fuse junk with trash, that makes a meatball, which is a giant pile of metal with people sticking out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is deck ability. I feel like this is like a 3 or 4.
There's a lot of goofy synergy you can do.
Yes.
With various decks and builds.
For sure. You can keep, like, you can lean towards the junk side. You can lean towards the trash side. There's some builds where you just want to cast the same card over and over again. Sometimes you want to do combinations and fusing. Sometimes you don't want to do fusing. It's got a lot of variety there. Rogue ability. I would say this is one of the more responsible roguelike deck builders.
Yes.
Like, there's an end.
There is a complete end to this game.
It's chapter-based.
Yes.
So I'd give it like a 4.
Yeah.
It's got good momentum, and when you're done, you're done. which I very much appreciate. I played this game for 13.8 hours, and that I beat it, and so I don't feel like I need to go back to it. I think we should reward a game that said we got in, did what we had to do, and we're done.
Yeah.
Especially since like Chaos Zero Nightmare, which unendingly demands your attention.
Yeah.
Zetzillions is like, we did a fun thing.
Yeah. No, we got you what you wanted.
And I think heart, this has the heart of the cards, right?
Yeah.
Like this is all heart. This has great heart. The voice acting is good. The story gets just increasingly ridiculous in a way that's very fun. I think it executes the Gurren Lagann laddering up to more and more nonsense very well.
Yes, there it goes many place.
All right, so that I think gives Zetzillions heart of the cards.
Yep.
All right, so in review, we had Chaos Zero Nightmare, a 4 for deck ability, a 3 for rogue ability, and it had the gallbladder of the cards. Peglin, a 3 for deck ability, a 3 for rogue ability, and it had the lungs of the cards. Griftlands, a 3 for deck ability, a 1 for rogue ability, and it had also the lungs of the cards. Painted Grail, 4 for deck ability, 3 for rogue ability, and it had the bones of the cards.
Yeah.
And Zetzillions, 4 for deck ability, 4 for rogue ability, and it had the heart of the cards. Huzzah!
Yeah. Huzzah!
Another set of games ranked as only we can. Brayden, do you have any closing thoughts on any of these games or on hard games?
Do any of these deserve a sicko label?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Unless Chaos Zero Nightmare gets you.
Yeah, well, that's a different kind of sicko than the for super players, which is, in previous episodes we gave the sicko label to both Rogue Book and Wild Frost, and I don't think I don't think any of the games here have that level of like, oh, if you like thinking 5 dimensions ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of these are that, sicko coded. I think you can you can derive enjoyment out of all of these without being super grognard about this stuff. And I don't think any of these have the depth of gameplay that the sicko games tend to have.
Yes.
Yeah, these are games that either, like Peglin, decide I'm going to base my run-based stuff on a different genre entirely, or they are very straightforward, Slay the Spire likes.
Yeah.
All right. So that, I think, does it for today. We'll have another 5 games the next time we decide to do this. Hope y'all enjoyed yet another episode of All Hands on Deck. We have a new name. That's fun.
Yeah.
And
All Hands on Deck.
And yep. I feel like I should like go to a holster on my waist to pull out a deck.
Yeah.
All Hands on Deck. Yeah, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can do so. deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. That's our email address. deeplistens.libsyn.com. That's where we have our comment sections and where the show is hosted. And deeplistenspodcast.bluesky.social, where you can get at us on social media. Support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. Thank you, Brayden.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear listeners. Until next time, peace.
Cards.
Break it down like this.
Cards.